gather the whole idea of Evaluate India is to understand what is the needs of young and emerging evaluators in terms of the areas in which they want experience in knowledge and network them with various and understand them what are the employment opportunities in the field of evaluations and try to promote the field of MND. So you'll understand more about this sooner. So again, I don't want to take much of the time. So we are also part of ECOI. ECOI is the Evolution Community of India. So basically, Evolution India is a younger arm of ECOI, where ECOI is a committee formed as a community formed by all the evaluators of India. So we encourage you to please check their website and try to be part of the community where they'll be sharing a lot of resources, employment opportunities, internships, and also they do capacity building and it's a whole gamut of things there for evolution in India. Whoever wants to make a career out of evolution should definitely be part of that grouping. About the competition, again, I want to keep it simple and short so that most of the time it can be utilized for the workshop rather than just talking about the points that you already know. So this India evaluation based competition is the third phase. So basically, we have been running since the last 2 years, from 2021, 22, and 23 is the third segment. So we have set amount of theme every year, and we all of the competitions from all over India, where the students from different colleges are in a team of 4 to 5 register and participate in the event. It's a one-day event where you'll be getting a case study from us during the morning session, and you'll have a certain time period, and you have to within a span of 7 years you have to submit again the case study evaluation case, and we have a panel of juries who are esteemed juries who have a great amount of experience in the field of evaluation to judge your answers and then feedback and then select the best of the best team. So this team would be having this opportunity to represent India in the World Evaluation Case Competition Forum, which will be held in November this year. So it's happening since every year, and it's a very prestigious event where the all over the world people from different countries to come and participate for evaluation case studies. So we'll be giving webinars. So this is the first webinar. We have 2, 3 planned down the lane. So the idea is to give you training towards MND and also understand, give you the basic introduction about MND so that you will, whatever knowledge you have learned through the workshop, you can utilize it in the competition. It's a short training program again. So these are our social media handles. So we'll be sharing this thing through over the mail also. We encourage you to please keep up with following us and understand what are the things that are being carried out and what are the events that are being regular. We have been doing a lot of activities regularly, and we want you to be part of that. We want you to take um, proper training and utilize these social media handles. So again, IECC website also is a rich repository of information. You have resources, you have various discussions going on. You can utilize that forum for your own benefit of evaluation, knowledge gaining, and etc. So yeah, so a bit about the our the chief of guest here, Dr. Prabhu Ponnusamy. He has over 19 years of experience in the field of M&D. He's a doctorate. Hence Dr. Prabhu Ponnusamy. He has done his doctorate from demography slash population science from Gandhigram Rural Institute. He conceptualized, designed, developed, and managed various M&D projects over his track of 19 years. So he has gracefully agreed to come talk to you guys, and he's also one of our jury panel member. We request you to talk to him, learn from him, and utilize this opportunity to learn the basics of M&D and utilize his knowledge during the competition down the in the down the lane. Over to you, Dr. Prabhu Ponnusamy. So please,
Yeah, thanks, Harish. Thanks for your things. Let me share my screen. It's very good morning to everyone. Today, the section, basically, we are trying to do the introduction to monitoring evaluation. Isn't my screen is visible? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thanks. Basically, today, it's very good morning once again. This is basically an introduction to monitoring evaluation. What we are going to try to do it in this over a period of another hour or so. We try to just give the definition and what is the purpose of M&E monitoring evaluation, and we're going to look at the what are the importance of M&E and some kind of a key concepts. Actually, the entire process, entire my presentation will be in two parts, basically three parts. Actually, if you look at the things that we are going to look at what is monitoring and then what is going to be evaluation and what kind of a purpose, what are the key importance of based on the M&E and all those things. Actually, the entire process, it's not, I am not going to much more on the theoretical aspects. It's a kind of a practical, because I came from a background of a very ground level person. So I want to the things actually how the M&E will be placed in the any organization setup or anything. So that kind of approach we are going to do. That time my presentation will be in this thing. So if you have any query or anything, you can, as mentioned, Arish, you can put it in a chat box, and then I'll try to address as per my knowledge. It's a kind of things, you can free to ask. It's an idea, because there is lots of definition, lots of things is there. I don't want to go with the jungle of things, but the concept is that you people are freshers to the monitoring evaluation field, and you people wants to take forward your career. That's what actually just want to understand the overall scenario, what is monitoring evaluation, how it's placed in the development organization or institutions, how it's going to place. That's what we are going to discuss an hour. We'll go with the monitoring. What is monitoring? Monitoring is basically a systematic and continuous collection and analysis of utilization of information for any project has been implemented in progress. Actually, it is ongoing activity. If you look at the things, monitoring is a project management. Basically, it's a project management. So, for example, if I am implementing a program, okay, so program has to be monitored over a period of time. So, what are the indicators has to be monitored over a period of time? That I have to be a monitoring system has to be placed. Otherwise, you will not able to implement or anything that program has to be carried out. For example, it's a kind of a simple term. If you look at the things, when you are driving the things, you have a dashboard of a car. So car dashboard, actually, you can see that what is the what speed I am going, what is the fuel I am having, and all those things. It's kind of a things actually when you are running a program. So a 3 years program or a 4 years of program implementation on the NGOs or international NGOs or institutions, they're running a program. They want to understand how many target that when the initial program, initially they have a targeted this much of beneficiary I am going to reach it, how much of activity I am going to carry out, and all those things. That's we have to going to track it. That is actually basically in a simple time. It's a monitoring. Actually, the monitoring is that basically the activity level. We are going to look at the things. We'll come more on by one. There is a clear cut, lots of definition. I'm going to when it's a kind of in a simple term. If you look at the things, whatever the activities we are going to implement in the program, that we are going to monitor is actually monitoring the activities. That's a term actually. So why monitoring is important actually? If you look at the picture illustrate, you can see there is I am putting resources. I am putting my money. I am putting my human resource and everything. If the program is actually as per the need, who is the people need that program, the activity, it's not happening, then the whole scenario is going to be elapsed. There is no need of doing a program, no need of doing any intervention, no need of doing any kind of aspects. Actually, that's what regular monitoring is must. Actually, if you look at the things that every month, every periodically, there is a lot monitoring will be happen in terms of various tools and the methodologies. So monitoring can be regular, continuous progress of the program. In terms of what is a good monitoring system, actually, for a monitoring system, actually, it's a kind of what are the monitoring system, a good monitoring system, what are the aspects has to be taken care? A simple and relevant and easily, and it's against the plans. Actually, what will happen in many times, when we are collecting gathering the data, actually people have lots of things they wants to cover, X, Y, Z, and everything. That's usually that will happen in any intervention program. Actually, that should not be there. We should have a simple and relevant information has to be taken care into account, and that's also that should be a participatory, that should be focused, and beneficiary needs also that to be taken care, and it should be analytical way. So it's a kind of, you cannot give a qualitative aspects and many things, because we have to measure how number of beneficiary reach, number of trainings carried out, and all those things. So we need some analytical evidence-based decision for evidence-based decision making. So we need some analytical aspects also has to be taken care. and then accessible. That's supposed to be accessible to all the population who are be involved in this monitoring evaluation activities for the aspects. Actually, those who are partners, donors, or affected population, then everyone has to know about the accessibility has to be there. So basically, what we are trying to say is a good monitoring system as a simple. It should be a very simple. It's not bringing any complementary, complicated on all those things. When we actually, many times when we are running a program, lots of people, I want that information, I want many information wants to pull it. So then you will not, that resource has to be there. Then collecting and monitoring also, it's a, you have to spend resource and you have to plan it, and the human resource and financial resource, everything is there. So that's what we have to make it very simple. And then it's supposed to be participatory. It's all the entire ecological has to be, all the entire population has to be part of this monitoring activities. And then it's supposed to be analytical way. Analytical means actually that should be evidence. Actually, if it is without quality, only qualitative information will not survive for our monitoring information. So that's what it's a kind of, these are the aspects we have to take into account. So when you look at the so importance of monitoring, basically the same thing, actually some kind of a repetition will be there. You can bear with me. Actually, monitoring is a critical project that as mentioned earlier. It's a critical project. If monitoring information is being analyzed regularly, that's what I said earlier also, used to efficiently to make the decision. It can be invaluable to manage a project. Any project you can easily manage. If the monitoring system is well placed in any program activities, that would be well placed, and it can be correct issues before they become problems or make a difference. Those who are trying to mid-course correction, you can make it. Actually, basically, the importance of monitoring, actually, basically, it's that as mentioned, the entire project is there, cycle is there. If you properly place the monitoring information in the system, then you no need to worry about that. If any change, if it is actually lots of time when we are when you're starting the program, there is a lots of assumption will be happen. What is happen? Assumptions will be great. Actually, we have target some target, and then when we are on the ground level, there will be changes will be happen. So if you can look at the things, so if you proper monitoring system in place, actually it easily to help us to mid-course correction and other things can be taken care. And as per the timeline or as per the target we are going or not, as per the geography it's happening or not. So everything you can easily can be taken care into account. So monitoring should not only focus on who received what. Actually, it's supposed to contribution of a humanitarian assistance, like a difference made in the population, and then you can get some kind of a satisfaction level information also. So it's a kind of, it's not like that who has received what. Actually, it's not like that. Monitoring usually says that people, how many beneficiary, how many people we have reached, what are the services we have given, what are the trainings we are given. It's kind of, it's not like that. We can get the feedback from the other side of the population to make the corrective measure on the program. So note, when you look at the things, monitoring should not as a collecting information and accountable to donors. It is primarily to allow the project teams run the project effectively, ensuring it was a desired result to the beneficiary. Basically, what will happen in the practical ground level, I'm saying, what will happen, actually, most of the things, actually, because when a program is there, we have some donor is there. Somebody XY BMG for any donor, its donor will be given a funding for them. For them, we have to reporting actually every quarterly or monthly or annually, that we have to bring a quarterly reports and other things we have to under, because it's accountability, that accountability. So most of the programs, what will happen, they used to give aspects that only for a donor reporting and all those things. That's what I'm saying. It's not a donor reporting only for a donor reporting. Donor report it's also must, but also it has to be analyzed very. It has to be, the monitoring data has to be analyzed periodically and take the corrective actions for the program. That is very important for the monitoring. So importance of yearly monitoring. Actually, what will happen most of the time when the program starts, where there is a 5 years program, actually there is a five-year intervention, it's happening. What will happen that people will start with the everything, and then over a period of time that some of the monitoring aspects will not taken care of the initial stage of the program, then what will happen, they will not able to take a corrective measure. So that's what actually importance actually early as when the program starts, we have to, before the starting the program itself, the preliminary work has to be carried out, and then monitoring planning has to be carried out. Actually planning for a monitoring helps on clarity of the project objective. What are the assumption, what are the indicators, what are the activities, indicators and activities, good indicators, which are data to be collect, which are the, what are the data elements has to be collect, and how we are going to use it, and what make a decision, project direction, how periodically we are going to take it. All those things has to be taken care in the early planning itself, and establishing a systematic and simple timely participatory. Actually that's what I'm saying, it's supposed to be a simple, to the point and to the information. It should not, we should not complicate it. Usually what will happen when you are collecting the data, we need this information and that information will happen. So that's what we have to very simple, timely, because it's not a, that's earlier I mentioned, no. If we are making the program starts and the mid of the program, if you're bringing the monitoring system, that will not work actually, then you will fail the entire program. So that's what you have initial stage of the program, you have to timely, you have to place the monitoring system, and then make the relevant indicators and program principle according to, based on what program, what program objective, what is going to be, what impact we are going to see in the program. Based on that, we have to set up an indicator and see continuous relevance as to that intervention, entire intervention cycle of the intervention has to be monitored. Thinking about the monitoring should start from the assessment, any problem, stage of the consideration, what indicates problem, required intervention. Actually, it's monitoring, it's not a regular monitoring information system. It's also some kind of a survey and other things also will be utilized. Actually, some mid-course corrections and all those things. Sometimes we need some assessment has to be carried out in the monitoring system. Monitoring is sometimes perceived just a donor or accountability, therefore at last, actually that's what earlier also mentioned, it's not only for a donor accountability, it also has to program strengthening the program and run the program effectively, that has to be taken care. So actually what we have tried, what we have seen in this last couple of slides, I just want to recap it. We have seen what is monitoring. Monitoring is a regular process activity, project activity, that we have to set up a monitoring system to collect the information that helps the program to run the effectively and efficiently for the success of the program. And then we are look at the what are the importance of the importance and the early planning of the monitoring. What are the early monitoring planning that we have discussed it. So now we are going to see there is what of types of monitoring. Actually, we are going to look at the types of monitoring. Actually, there is a results-based monitoring, that is actually track the effects and then impact. This is where the monitoring merge the evaluation. This is kind of a merge with the evaluation as well as the monitoring. Actually, it's basically to orchestrate towards intent results. Actually, when we have a targets, we have outputs, we have outcomes, and we have impacts, what impacts and all those things, whether there may be any impact or positive or negative, it's happened, that we are going to look at the things. Actually, for example, as a social project may monitor that is a community activities, achieve that inputs, and then contribute the community resilience and the ability to recover that from a disaster. So basically, the results monitoring, actually, we are results monitoring is basically we are looking at the outcome as well as outcome levels and impact level. We are results monitoring has to be taken care. And then process monitoring. And then process monitoring is a kind of activity only. The use of inputs, resource, progress, activities, deliver the output. It examines the activities, actually, whether the, so for example, water and sanitation project may monitor the target of the household receives septic tanks according to the schedule. As for example, if you're supposed to be having a program, some kind of intervention, ANC care. So how many for antenatal care? So for example, antenatal care, actually, so example, we are giving antenatal care. So how many of the children are given antenatal care? Mothers given antenatal care during the pregnancy. So how many mothers has given the antenatal care? So we are getting the counting, actually. So it's a kind of a project activity. So how many, so for example, if you have a giving a immunization to the children, immunization vaccine to the children. So how many vaccine has given to the in the particular villages or particular district? How many vaccination given to the under 5 year children? So this kind of things, it's an activity. Activity may be in terms of that may be in terms of trainings. If suppose we are running a program that we have a self-help group. So for example, a program it's running a self-help group, training to the self-help group to the livelihoods aspects. So we are giving number of training to the self-help group people in the district or in a state, that these are the things, and as per the time schedule we are doing or not. This is a process activity. The process activity has to be monitored, number of activities that carried out, how many trainings are carried out, for example, number how many trainings are carried out, how many population we have reached out, what are the whether we are given any receive the whether we are given information to the community or not, community people or not. These are the things, actually regular monitoring system. And then compliances monitoring. We are looking at the types of monitoring. Actually, we are looking at the results monitoring, regular tracking type of monitoring, and compliances monitoring. It's a compliances monitoring is basically ensure the compliances with the donor regulation. It expected the grant and contract requirements, whether local regulations and laws and ethical standard. For example, shelter project may monitor the shelters adhere agreed to the national international safety standard in the construction. So it's a kind of a compliances. Compliances, we know that compliances is basically kind of a system guidelines based on the SOP, whether the particular state or a geography that have some kind of a mechanism, whether the compliances monitoring will measure the as per the standard, whether doing the activities are doing or not, that we are measuring in this compliances measurement. And then context, actually, there is a context type of monitoring. Context monitoring, it's a tracks the setting in a which project program operates, especially affect the identify the risk and assumption, but also expected constriction that may arise. Actually, for example, a conflict area, monitor potential fighting that could be affect the project success, but in project staff and volunteers, actually, some kind of a situation comes. We have set up a project. We have set up its geography, its place, its villages. There is a community violence or anything it's happened during the course of period or during the project intervention or during the course. Actually, that time we have supposed to have some kind of a context situation monitoring has to be also bring it. Actually, what we are trying to say is actually what types of monitoring type of monitoring information system that we can adopt in the program. Then we are moving to the beneficiary monitoring. It's a beneficiary monitoring. It's actually who is the target population that we are going to benefit for the program. Actually, the monitoring track the perception of the project. It includes the satisfaction levels or compliances, also the treatment to access to the overall experience of the change, sometimes referred as beneficiary contact monitoring. For example, a cash work program assisting a community members to after natural disaster happen, may monitor how they feel about the selection of the participants. They may be the payment of the participant contribution program is making in the community or not. These are the beneficiary monitoring system has to be taken a measure. So for this is basically how the beneficiary is getting, whether the beneficiary is getting receiving or not, what kind of a satisfaction level, and then what changes it's happening that in the program. That's what we are going to cover it in the beneficiary monitoring. And then financial monitoring. It's basically its word itself very clearly states that if a program is there, we have a limit. We have some amount of budget has to be expenditure spent on over a period of 5 years. Actually, we have to see that how the financial has to be systematically, regularly in each quarter, how much they have. Suppose 5 years program, each year how much we have to spend, how much it's balance, and all those things has to be tracked. It's supposed to, if a program is have a multiple sides of a program, so we have a each geography, maybe we have a financial target and financial setup. Actually, that 100 rupees may be distributed to different aspects, and then that has to be monitored regularly. That is called financial monitoring. Financial, it's not only the looking at the beneficiary monitoring, looking at the regular tracking of activity level tracking, or it is a compliances tracking. Also, we have to look at the financial monitoring also. It's very important. So entire that is also, it's very important for any successful of the program. So then we are looking at the organizational monitoring. Organizational monitoring is basically a track the sustainable and institution development, capacity building of the project, and what its partner often. It's a basically will happen. This kind of organizational monitoring will happen. It's a, if we have a multi-sites program it's running, or a multiple the organization is a national, international organization, international development sector institutions, they maybe look at the organizational monitoring. It's happened. They have some certain goals for the institutions or organizations. They wants to track that this as per the need we are going or not, as per the goal of the institution, whether we are going or not, how the larger implementation it's happening, and all those things they will monitor. For that purpose, it's organizational monitoring also. Certain places that is important to people will do it. So what we are seeing, actually, we have a types of monitoring. I want to recap the types of monitoring. We have seen the organizational monitoring. We have seen the beneficiary monitoring. We have seen the financial monitoring. We have seen the compliances monitoring, and then beneficiary monitoring, compliances monitoring, and then we see the regular monitoring, tracking monitoring, and all those aspects we have seen. It's basically kind of, these are the monitoring components that if you implement in the program, that will help to run the program smoothly and efficiently. So we are going to have some certain questions, actually. When you look at the things, actually, monitoring questions, there is a key questions, actually, has to be taken care into account when we are setting a monitoring. Is there any change in the operating environment? What are the when we are setting a monitoring, what are the key questions to be keep in mind when you are addressing the things? Is there any change in the operating environment? If so, what, why? Are their needs still same, or have to evaluate it? Anything to be mid-course correction has to be taken or not? Or what extent the right people target, whether we are reaching that right target population or not? How does it compare overall needs to the input of the input of the program? Is there any adjustment is required? Is the project activity plan in a track? If not, why not? What can be done in the correct direction, like mid-course correction? If the current rate of a progress continue, whether we'll achieve the intent objective or not. So these are the things has to be when you're framing a monitoring, actually, when you're framing a monitoring system. So what are the aspects, what are the key questions you have to be keep in mind that when we are setting a monitoring? That's what are the questions, actually. Is the project having any anticipate effects or any positive or negative things happen? Is there a project achieved intent indicator level? So basically, when you set up a monitoring system, this aspects has to be taken to care. This questions has to be raised, and then the system has to be keep in mind. So what frequency of monitoring is required? Actually, it depends upon the indicator. What kind of indicator we are going to do measuring? Actually, based on that, it's going to be there. It can be daily. Some of the, because if we have the program is running, there is a community level working in the field. They are day to day going to the community villages and slums and other things. They are going to that. Some of the information may be daily. We have to collect. Some of the information will be weekly at the relief program process, or distribution. Monthly also prices, population assisted. Quarterly also number of trainings are carried out. And actually it depends upon the indicator that what we are going to measure. Based on that, it's a frequency will happen. It's not a frequency will happen, depends upon the indicator and depends on the monitoring information that we are going to capture. When we are implementing the monitoring, any point, actually, it's like the monitoring system that as mentioned earlier, also the monitoring system has to be carried out the entire cycle of the project. It's not at the initial stage of the project or entire mid of the project or end of the project. It's supposed to be entire things. There is a different type of project active monitoring information system has to be placed in terms of that way, as seen earlier, that different set of types of monitoring systems has to be placed in the things. So it may be varies according to the time to time and depends upon the project objective. What we are going to measure depends on the monitoring system. So who people are going to involved in this things? So we are going to as mentioned, who are the people involved in monitoring activities? Field staff, community. Without community, you cannot a community or a community people has to be included. Who that is, they are going to beneficiary. And project implementation team is must care. And then management of a team, project implementing organization or donors. These are the key people that when we are setting a monitoring information, that has to be whole ecosystem of the project management team has to be project management, entire ecosystem of the population work has to be involved in this monitoring approach. So let us if you have anyone have a questions, maybe we can what Arish, we can try to do it. This is actually we can try to mid of the things or end of the second we can do it.
Anything as you like, doctor. But I think maybe we can keep it at the end so that people can consolidate their doubts and then.
Okay, fine, thanks. It's basically the key takeaway from the monitoring system is actually monitoring. It's as mentioned, any program or any program or organization running a running a program or a intervention, they supposed to set up a monitoring system. Without monitoring system, the program cannot be successfully. So that is actually monitoring. It's must to be placed in the any program activity. That is actually that what we have seen actually importance of the monitor purpose. And we have seen the importance of monitoring and the types of monitoring. And then we have seen that who people are going to involved in the monitoring activity and what are the types of monitoring forms and other things we have discussed actually. So or what frequency the monitoring system has to be placed also we have seen. So basically monitoring is over a period of a program. That program system has to be placed when the it's as mentioned earlier, it's supposed to set up in a early stage of the program, and that's supposed to be integral part of the program to the entire process of the intervention. So moving to the evaluation, actually, we have look at the one part of the monitoring evaluation. We are going to look at the evaluation part, the next part, actually, the monitoring and evaluation. So we have seen the monitoring aspects, and now we are going to look at the evaluation part. So evaluation parts is basically what is evaluation? Evaluation is a systematic collection of information, learn why and what extent the program is successful or unsuccessful, that has to be taken care. Whether the inputs, whether the input of the program and the output of the produced desired results are coming, that we have to mechanism has to be carried out. No, we have to measure the things. So that is actually evaluating the different effectiveness. We are going to see the effectiveness of the program. So we have a 5 years program. What changes it's happened due to our 5 years intervention? We have put our resources, human resources and activities and many things we have carried out. We are going to see the things, we have to showcase the things actually whether the program is successful or not. So that's evaluation will be taken care into. The evaluation data indicates whether the program achieved what they were intent to achieve, the outcomes and impact level basically. So these are the evaluation. Basically what if the program starts and then 5 years of program, and the end of the program we have to see the what changes made in the community, what changes made in the population, that we have to see. So that's very important to have a what changes will happen in the during the course of a program, that will measure the evaluation will measure, if evaluation component will measure. Yeah. So if you look at the things, this will happen occasionally. It will not come like that as mentioned earlier, that it's in a monitoring, how we say what we are saying, we have regularly monitoring the entire process. Actually, we have each and every aspect we are keep doing, but evaluation will not do like that. Evaluation, it's a kind of things, it's a periodically time to time based on the our monitor based on our evaluation plan, it's supposed to be carried out. It's a kind of a, when we are giving a car services, we are not going to give us car services daily. We are going to see every 6 months or 1 year sometime. We are going to periodically we are going to give the car service. It's a kind of an example. The purpose of evaluation, it's basically evaluation should always have a clarity, the primary purpose, and it's supposed to internal as well as the external accountability or learning on the primary audience is must. Irrespective of the whether the purpose of the evaluation should be accountability learning, the project beneficiary should also head of it. Actually, the project beneficiary also to be there. In reality, most of the evaluation combine accountability and learning. However, the identify the primary purpose of the evaluation will be carried out accordingly. Basically, what will happen? The purpose of the evaluation, it's supposed to be accountability. It look a whole the implementation of the project. If suppose that is actually what will happen, we are doing a evaluation, we are doing a impact evaluation or any kind of evaluation. What will happen over sometimes it will only donor deliverable things will be happen. So that's what nowadays actually people will say learning knowledge management, some kind of a names actually. We have to keep learning what is coming over from the evaluation and change according to the project implementation to the success. Actually, we have to that has to be accountability oriented evaluations. It's not something like X% we have to make a target X to Y. It's not like that. It's supposed to be accountability. This looks whole to implement accounted, and also learning oriented evaluation has to be carried out. These are the trend focus. What are the findings it's come out, what works and what it's not works, and why it is not works, and all those things we have to try to cover in the purpose of the evaluation. And then we are looking at the types of evaluation. There is a midterm evaluation called midterm. There are formative evaluation to access the performance against the plan, whether it may be any external or internal factors change the required alteration plan as per the plan it's going or not. Suppose we have to reduction of a malnutrition in the community, whether it is happening or not. Maybe we have course of mid course of evaluation we can take into the account. There can be an underway or half of the project and implemented to access the whether any changes are required or any any mid-course correction is to be needed or not. That kind of things will be carried out in the midterm evaluation. And then end of the project evaluation. There are summary that would be taken care at the end of the project, assess the performance against the intent of the objective. Whether the project is successful or not, what kind of learnings we are got it, and all those things we are going to take it. In terms of impact evaluation, there are continued sometimes after the project activities has happened, long-term changes it's achieved related to the project goal and purpose, sustainable of the change and all those things. So it's a kind of a different types of evaluation. I am not going about the types of evaluation depth. Actually, we just want to cover the just actually you people are new to the monitoring evaluation, fresher to the things. We try to understand what we just give an overall scenario of what is monitoring and evaluation, and then meta evaluation decided to aggregate the findings. Many research activities has carried out when we can have a systematically we can do the meta evaluations. It will happen in the evaluation policy and guidelines to this kind of activity. It will happen this kind of evaluation. And real-time evaluation. These are the counted during the project implementation. Get a real-time analysis and progress against the objective to facilitate immediate recommendation and changes to the project to improve the implementation. Actually, we have seen types of evaluation, midterm evaluation, end of the project evaluation, impact evaluation, we can see in the meta evaluation, real-time evaluation. So these are the common broad type of evaluation. I am not going to the what is real-time evaluation, what is meta evaluation, and all those things. It's a kind of you can see right now. It's a kind of a broad types of evaluation system that each and there is a lots of impact evaluation. There is various methods are there. So I'm not moving to the methods of evaluation method or methods of a monitoring. We are trying to say that types of evaluation. It's an overall broad category. So what are the when you're planning for evaluation, what are the key questions you have to be ready? What happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? What are the lessons learned? It actually these are the evaluation questions when we are framing a evaluation, when you are planning to do a evaluation in the monitoring system, monitoring evaluation in the program. You have to be keep in mind these are the when you're framing indicator, when you're framing the project, when you planning the evaluation activity, these are the questions has to be taken care into account. What happened, how it happened, why it is happened, what are the lessons learned from this. That these are the questions has to be addressed during the evaluation, So looking at the key questions, what the project or organization intend to achieve, was the changes impacted or not? That's we are going to see. Looking at the project plan, organizational action, whether the plan is strategy, policy, or place which was utilized to shape the activities or plan strategy has to be reworked. So these are the things you have to be keep in mind. Looking at the process, was there any efficient to use the resources? What is the opportunity cost and all those things? Is there any implication changes was required or not? All those information has to be taken care into account. So moving to the frequency of evaluation, actually that as mentioned earlier also, frequency of evaluation, actually we are not frequency of evaluation, it's usually evaluation will be carried out by the mostly external people. It's not a internal people, very limited only. It's depends of sometimes we have need a mid course correction or anything, that time maybe internal people can do it. But for a credibility of the evaluation and other things, you ask to evaluation, actually monitoring will not have a much cost or anything. Evaluation have a much more reliability and other things, because you are going to accountability and showcase to the donor what changes happen and all those things. So it's always external agency. So we cannot do regular evaluation. It's a kind of a frequency will be very limited. Usually evaluation studies will be frequency will be very limited only. It depends upon the time frame. If we have a 5 years program, there maybe we have a midterm evaluation. We can have a follow-up evaluation, and then maybe end of the evaluation and impact evaluation can be carried out. The end of the project, it can be carried out. The challenge is that can be not fully utilized, draw the lessons. Basically what I'm trying to say is that frequency of evaluation will be, it's not like the monitoring activity. It's supposed to be a very limited times only. It may be 1 or 2 times only. We have to do the entire project cycle 1 or couple of times. It depends upon the project duration. If suppose a 1 year program, we cannot do a midterm correction or anything. We have a baseline, and then we can directly go for the end line aspects. Once the initial program done the survey, and then we'll end up the things we are going to. If it is a 5 years program, maybe we have a after 3 years, after 2 years, maybe we have a periodically we can set up a. Actually, the evaluation, when we are setting a monitoring evaluation system, no, you can place the time frame accordingly. The evaluation system can be taken care. So now we are going to see what is the difference between monitoring and evaluation. So basically, as mentioned earlier also, it's maybe repeated. Monitoring is a continuous process, often focus what is achieved and against the lower level results. It's a kind of inputs and output level maximum. We are going to see the outputs and outcomes maybe we are seeing. In evaluation, it's a higher end indicator. The key points that project cycle assess the strategic questions, outcome and impact level we are going to measure. Actually, basically monitoring, we are going to see at the activity and output level measurement will be carried out most of the time, but the evaluation will be happen, and the things will be mostly at the outcome and impact level of the project. Actually, for example, monitoring data tells the quantity of the food distributed to the how many people, how it is utilized. That's what we are trying to do it. When you look at the while doing evaluation, it may look at the longer way, look at the longer tape, and what kind of a trends that, as mentioned earlier also, what is the whether the nutrition level has increased or whether it is reduced on the community or not. ANC immunization under 5 children immunization rate has increased or not. So this kind of some kind of evaluation, that over a period of time what changes will be happen, that we are going to see in the evaluation. Monitoring will be mostly at the input level, a number of beneficiary we have reached out, number of activity we have carried out in the community, number of that kind of things, input activity, and then number of how many of them went to hospital, how many, this kind of things will be outcome activity and output level will be measured in the monitoring. The purpose of monitoring audience will be different. Monitoring focus on providing the information on whether the activity is tracked as and for a staff and managers. Basically, it's a kind. It will be also help to the donors also, but most of the time it will help for the project managers and project staff. For them it's helpful, while evaluation will tend to have a broader and scope of looking at the compliances and policy issues. It may useful most of the time, it will useful for the, it will also field staff and other people, but it's mostly it will use for the project success, and it will be senior management, donors, it will be the audience will be helpful actually. So just I want to difference between what is happen, what is in the monitoring and objective. We can just want to, it helps actually. Monitoring to provide a progress update against the project indicators, highlight achievement and challenge in any variance between the targets and what actually achieved for the project or improvement. In the same thing in the objective to access whether the longer term strategy of policy or nation results and whether it is changes it's happening, it's that we are going to see. In terms of methodology, it is basically most of the time, as mentioned, internally we'll do it. It's a qualitative or quantitative primary data or any change in the project indicators that will measure in the methodology aspects. Evaluation will be mostly externally, but sometimes maybe as mentioned, sometimes maybe internally also will be facilitated. That can be it also can be secondary data and other things also will take will help for the evaluation. Timings actually continuous process throughout the project midterm for evaluation, project midterm or end of the real time, that can be taken care. Results actually project performance data. It's basically evaluation will be give the strategic findings and recommendation for the program. Audience actually mainly field staff, managers, partners, and headquarter donors. This will be donors and beneficiaries. The main target audience will be in the evaluation aspects. So what we are seeing actually, right? We have seen monitoring, what we have seen the evaluation, why evaluation it's important, key purpose, types of evaluation, and what is the difference between monitoring and evaluation, and what is the objective, timing, results, and who are the audience that we are going to see. So now we are going to see the entire thing. What is an M&E system? A project system combination of process of tools, templates, staff, equipments required for collect, manage, and analyze the report, disseminate the M&E information. Actually, if you want to set up a program for an intervention or a any program, that we have to set up a monitoring system. That what is monitoring system? A project M&E system should be combination process of a tools. That is actually what are the tools that we are going to implement it, and templates, forms, staffs, equipments, and activities required to the collect, manage, and analyze the report and disseminate the M&E information. Fundamental steps to carry out the monitoring evaluation. Actually, you have to be what are the fundamental steps when for any program? What are the fundamental steps to carry out for a monitoring evaluation activity? Construct a logical framework, logical model or log frame, theory of change of a program. Develop a M&E plan. That's supposed to be there. Develop a M&E monitoring evaluation plan. The develop a M&E plan is basically what kind of input formats, what are the indicators, when it is going to be happen, what is the frequency of the data collection, it's what are the frequency of the evaluation going to be carried out. All those things has to be come in the develop M&E plan actually. That collect the information and selected indicators, that when we are framing the constructing a result framework or logical framework, we are going to look at the things actually. Analyze the information gather and compare the results with the program initial, what has happened, the initial stage, what is the baseline, what has happened, and then over a period of time, what changes it's happened, that we are going to track. Why M&E is important? As mentioned earlier also, well-functioning M&E system is a critical point of a good project program management and accountability, timely and reliable M&E system for a project. It's basically support the project implementation and contribute the organization learning and knowledge sharing by sharing their experience to other future programs. So these are the things where monitoring M&E system is very important. It's supposed to accountability and compliances, demonstrating whether it works or not, whether the compliances is happened or not, like that we have to be carried out. provide an opportunity for a stakeholders feedback, especially on beneficiary to provider input onto the perception of modeling happens. Promote a celebrate of a work of so actually we have to see that where the 5 years program we are run the program, and then we have to see that what changes it's happened, how it's accomplished, and what are the achievements as building that has to be contributing, and then that has to be showcased, and that's supposed to be future program and other things, and we have to be taken care of. So some of the key concepts of a definition of monitoring evaluation we are going to see actually. What we have tried to say actually, these are the key terms usually happen in when you're setting a monitoring evaluation system, or when you're systeming a monitoring evaluation system. So certain key terms people keep on remembering and keep on, this words has to be taken care into account. Basically, if you look at the things, indicator an indicator is a variable that can be measured, determine the progress toward the achieving the goal or objective of the program. It may be quantitative, it may be qualitative in nature or quantitative in nature. It may be both. Actually, basically, indicator is must for any monitoring evaluation component. That concepts actually, the indicator is must. Without indicator, you cannot measure anything. When you set up, when you're writing a log frame, a logical frame, we are bringing into the activity level, output level, input level, activity, inputs and outcomes and all those things, impact and all those things has to be framed in the indicator. So that's what indicator has to be carried out. Outputs are directly direct products or services delivered by a program or interventions. Outcomes or refers to changes what that occurs, the results of the program of intervention, that changes or not, that we are, this is outcome actually. Basically, this are the, what I'm trying to say is a key concept of definition, monitoring, evaluation. We try to say these are the elements actually that you have to keep in mind, that when you are writing a case competition proposal and all those things, what are the indicators, what is output, what is outcome, all those things has to be taken care. So impact refers to the long-term effects, that broader changes that occurs as the results of the program or intervention. Impact can be challenging measure, make as to main phrase. Baseline data is basically information collected at the starting of the program or intervention against which program can be measured. Monitoring is systematic, continuous, collect the data, program activities, outputs, outcomes, and track the progress towards achieving the program goals. Evaluation is assessing the effectiveness, efficiency, relevance, sustainability, and impact of the program or intervention. It involves collecting, analyzing data, determine the program success or failures. Logical model is basically visual representation of a program theory of a change or program inputs, activities, or actually when you look at the things, there is lots of results framework, logical model, theoretical model, many things is there. But when the initial stage of the things, actually when the intervention is planning, you have a logical framework, what changes is going to happen. So what are the input has to be taken care, what are the activities I have to fix it for us, for the program, what is going to be outcome, what is going to be output, immediate output will come, what is going to be outcome level will come and going to come, and what changes we are going to look at. These are the things has to be logical model. And then performance indicator. Performance indicator is specifically measurable variables which access to performance. Actually, it's basically performance indicator. And then we have a data quality. Data quality refers accuracy, competency, reliability of a data. High quality of data is a critical making, informed decision making on evidence. So basically, what we are trying to say actually, these are the components where this is the key concept and definition you have to keep in mind when we are when you're writing a case competition program, that we have to keep in mind that what are the indicators, what is the output for the program, what are the outcomes I am planning, and then what is my impact level, what is when the activity will be happen, what are the monitoring aspects, and then what is a logical model that we are going to have, a theory of change or a results framework or anything that we are going to look into the account. So basically, monitoring evaluation, it's not just for a donor perspective. We have to include a team of that, as I says earlier also, it's a kind of entire ecological that system has to be placed. Actually, usually what will happen in the ground level, community level NGOs or international happen. Actually, many people always have a separate. Actually, it's not like that in the actual. It should be a part of a program team. Then only the project will be run smoothly and efficiently. Will get give a corrective measures for the program. So what we are trying to say is at a glance. Actually, finally, what are you supposed to achieve? You have to be very clear when you're setting a monitoring evaluation for a program. You have to be very clear what I'm going to supposed to achieve from this program. What are you supposed to do, and what are the activities that I'm going to do it. And then fits the indicator. Selection of a key indicators has to be must. And then we have to keep in mind that data collection is must. Data without data information capturing, that will not going to happen. Then analysis and interpretation, and then what action is to be done, and then share the findings to the audience, to the program team or a donor or a senior management of the team. That has to be carried out. It's basically we have to clear in mind when you are setting a monitoring evaluation system for any program or any when you're writing a proposal or anything. These are the things has to be what I am supposed to achieve. What do you supposed to do? What are the things I am going to do? What are the indicators? When we are how the data collection is going to happen, when it is going to happen, what are the input formats, what are the these things has to be keep in mind. And then keep in mind analysis and interpretation, and what action is taken care of during the, if it is a midterm course correction, what are the action is taken care, and what kind of the sharing the findings has to be shared to the audience. So this is what overall actually maybe you can have a questions. Actually, it's I just want to cover the overall what is monitoring and evaluation and what are the key components of the monitoring evaluation. We are not moved about the in terms of types of methodology and aspects. I am not gone. It's a kind of a overall what is monitoring and evaluation, what kind of components will be evaluation, will monitoring evaluation aspects will be placed in the program activities. That's what we are trying to capture in this section actually. Thanks from my side. If you have any questions, please let us have open discussion. Yeah.
So there is one question from Aishwarya where she asks, like, can you tell us the difference between output and outcome with an example?
Yeah. Can you tell me what is tell us the difference between output and outcome of the variables? Actually, basically, the output is basically the indicator. Let me give an example. Outcome is basically output is basically if suppose a program we have a number of we have a I'm giving an example. Let me. There is an intervention. It's happening. Toilet construction. Okay, there is a toilet construction in the Swachh Bharat toilet construction is happening in the particular villages. So its output will be number of toilet construction is happen. Okay. So the number of toilet construction is output. Output indicators basically number of toilet construction is happen. Outcome will be number of toilet construction, how many people are utilizing the toilet. Actually, toilet construction is output is actually basically number of activities implemented. Outcome is actually how much people are utilized. Actually, that kind of example. For example, one more example I can give it. Output is basically when the intervention is there, how many number of activities when the input actually when we are giving an input. For example, we have made a resources number of construction is carried out, number of all those things it's happen. Number of construction is completed is kind of output that is coming in the immediate output. Actually, when the we are giving input to the program, we are suppose there is a other example, maybe simple example. Let me put it in another word. We have a program of a under 5 years children. We are giving a immunization to the community level people, under 5 years children. So what has happened? That number of doses given to the children is output. Okay. The number of doses as given to the children is output level. So we are getting the output level immediately. Outcome level is actually how many of the children as fully immunized actually. How many of the children as particular vaccine is fully immunized? Actually, that is the outcome level. Is it clear or anything I have to define actually? It's basically output is actually the input we are given. Immediately the output activity that level which is coming, it's defined as a outcome. And then outcome is basically we have a measurement. Actually, we have the over a period of time the changes of the overall program changes, outcome level we have to define actually. So any questions? If any questions also you can free to answer, and you can write to evaluation team actually. They can also then later on also we can address the questions and aspects actually.
Yes, sir, we can do that actually. If anyone else having questions, please write it to us and we'll direct them towards Dr. Prabhu sir, and we'll get back with the responses.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So basically, you told that you will have to set up the indicators, right? So that indicators will be created after the theory of change, right? After framing the.
Yeah, actually what will happen
Hmm.
when we have a program. Okay, so
Hmm.
suppose as example of a program when we are writing a program proposal, theory of change actually after theory of change, because you have to what changes I am going to look at the program. That's we have to decide, after theory of a change, that when you're setting theory of a change, then we have a suppose theory of a change is basically it's a kind of a what changes overall perspective that program, what changes after 5 years, after 2 years of the intervention. This is I am going to look at if I'm planning this aspects that is going to be changed in the over a period of time. For that, for measuring the outcome, measuring the impact of measuring the project level, that later on after theory of change, we have to set up a monitoring framework. Actually, monitoring framework has to be carried out. During the monitoring framework, that is actually the component of results framework or a monitoring the framework, people will say. Actually, from the when we are writing a monitoring framework, you have to define the indicators. What is my input level indicators? What is my output level indicators? What are the outcome level indicators? And then what is my outcome? And then what is my going to impact level? I'm going to change it. And then we can in the that is a monitoring framework. When you are writing a monitoring framework, we are going to see that this is going to be collected from the monitoring information system. This particular indicator is captured from the monitoring information system. How frequency we are going to collect this particular information system, and then who are the target people, that who are the people is going to be cover this, going to utilize this particular going to collect the information, and all those things will be coming in the monitoring framework actually.
Okay. So basically, while doing this theory of change and setting the indicators, input and output level is basically done by discussion with the monitoring team and also secondary review. They won't go to the field at this time to check, right?
No, actually, that's what I say. That's supposed to when the monitoring evaluation system has to be placed in the initial stage of the program. When the program actually, what will happen when you're writing a grant or anything? Actually, what will happen that this is the theory of change that we are going to next 5 years that intervention is going to be see. So and we have to define the indicators. These are the things we are going to measure. How many targets? Because the results monitoring framework will helps to get a clear idea that how much resources required, because you have to how many population I have to target and all those things, target and everything you have to fix it. So at that point, actually, it's supposed to be needed.
Point, you mean that supposed to be the field verification is needed. That's what you mean?
No, it's I am saying actually that after theory of changes happen, when you're writing a proposal or after getting grant, theory of change is there. Theory of the changes that when a monitoring framework has to be set up in the initial stage of the program, that has to be very clear in the initial stage of the program, because even that proposal writing also, proposal giving to the donor also, that monitoring frameworks or results framework is must actually.
Okay.
It's not like that after coming or maybe there is after coming the intervention is come out to the organization, there is a changes, there is a small minor changes will be happen, but the initial stage itself we have to monitoring framework has to be taken care of.
Okay, got it. Thank you, sir.
Any questions? I think Harish, I think if it is things we can maybe we can ask you can send a mail to the participants. Those maybe you can sharing the videos and post materials, so that then we can have any questions. Maybe we'll address it.
Yes, Dr. Prabhu, we'll be sharing the videos and also the presentation with them.
Yeah.
I hope more people will be asking questions down the lane, and we'll post them to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Prabhu.
Yeah.
Over to you, Ishika, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you so much, Dr. Prabhu, for this session and for this workshop. It was really very interesting and very fruitful for everyone, I hope, because we have discussed a lot of things, starting from monitoring and evaluation to its importance, to its types, to its steps, and also the concepts and definitions that are really important during monitoring and evaluation. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the clearing the doubts also for the participants. I would also like to thank all the participants to join who have joined in today. It has been a great session for all of you. You can also email us your queries for Dr. Prabhu if you still have any, and we will reach out to him and send you back with answers. Thank you everyone for joining. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the IECC team members who have worked hard for this workshop and are doing their best for the India Evaluation Case competition. So I will be putting out some information regarding our social media. Okay, thank you, Abhishek. So he has put in some information about registration link. So you can register on the link mentioned in the chat box. And also you can follow us on our social media for regular updates on the workshops, the competition, and everything regarding the India Evaluation Case competition. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks.
Sure, Chinmay. We will be uploading the PPT and the recording on our website. You can go through it. By end of day today, it will be uploaded. I request everyone to switch on their videos so we can take a group photo. So we can upload it on our website. Ishika, would you like to take the group photo? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining.